we'll be marking 1.5 inches on the down line, and that will be our folding allowance. That will actually be what we'll be bending inwards. So if you prefer, you can mark 2 inches, 2.5, 3, or even more, depending on how much you are willing to bend inwards. So I'll be making use of a broken line for all our construction lines because I don't want too many straight lines. So we'll be marking 2 inches on the edge, and that 2 inches will actually be for the sewing allowance, which will be attached to the back piece. So in the course of this tutorial, you will understand what we actually did here. So like I said earlier, I'll be using more of broken lines because I want what I'll be cutting off to be the actual straight lines. So for our short length is 19, but I'll be marking 19.5, and I'm doing this because this short will be having a band, and that band will be joined to the short with a 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So after marking our short length on the top, I'll go straight to the crotch depth. From that top line, we'll be marking 11 inches downwards. And we're marking 11 inches downwards because this is a high waist short. If it were to be not a high waist short, it won't be 11 inches, unless you are sewing a short for a very fat person or a very big person. So we've gotten our line, and that line will actually be our thigh line. So that's the line we'll be taking the most biggest part of your lap or your thigh measurement on, and the upper part our waistline. So we'll be going straight to the hip line, and that is 9 inches from the waistline. And this is also as a result of this short being a high waist. Normally standard requires you take 8 inches, 8.5 inches. So I'll be calling this line my hip line, and the down line our short length line. So after getting our 4 lines, we'll be going straight to getting our hip measurement. Our hip is 40, so 40 divided by 4 is 10, and I'll be marking 10 on the hip line and also on the waistline, and I'll be joining both with a straight line. So I'll be showing you how to get your curve from your waist to your hip, and I want to get it generically. I don't want to assume. So we'll be taking a 1/2 inch down, and that is just because your front part of your short trouser should always be lower than the back part, and this is simply because the back part of your body contains the bum bum, and your bum bum actually consumes more of the fabric when you wear your clothes. So that is our waistline, and on that line we'll be marking our waist measurement. Our waist is 33. We'll be dividing it by 4, and we'll be marking it on that slant line. Like I said, I want to show you how to get your curve from your waist to your hip generically. So 1/2 inch will be added to the measurement, and that is for the dart. So after that point, you just use a curve to join your hip to your waist. And for a male short, we don't usually put a dart on the front, and this dart we are adding to the front is basically for female shorts. So I'll be joining that broken line with a curve. Like I said, everything I'll be cutting off will actually be what I'll be using a straight line for. The rest will just be broken lines. So we'll be going straight to the making process of the dart. That will be dividing the waist by 2 and dividing the hip by 2. Joining both points with a broken line as well. And we'll be making our dart on that line. So I'll be marking 3.5 inches downwards. Then I'll be taking a 1/4 inch on the left and a 1/4 inch on the right, because the summation of both 1/4 inch will give you the 1/2 inch, and that is what we actually took for the dart measurement. So I'll be taking a 1/2 inch inwards on the short length because I just want this short to come out with all the necessary curves. I don't want it to be straight down. So I'll be using that to get the curve I need, and I'll be joining all the remaining parts with a straight line. So we'll be dividing the hip and the thigh line into 2, and we'll be marking that point at that very position. Then we'll go straight to taking our thigh measurement on the thigh line. Our thigh is 25 inches. I will be marking 12.5 inches on that line. We'll also go to the length line and also mark 12.5 inches downwards also. So after getting both points, we'll be joining both with a straight line, or straight broken line, I should say. Then we'll be marking 1.5 inches after that thigh position. The ease you get underneath your crouch. I will be marking 2.5 inches downwards also. I'll be joining both with a short curve. So now to get our curve upwards, we'll be marking 1 inch from that point and 1 inch above the hip line also. And we'll be using a curve to join all points to get our curve. Now, if you have a curve instrument, you don't need all the stress. Just like we did for the left side, we'll be taking 1/2 inch inwards for the right side. I will be joining that to the 2.5 position we marked earlier, and that will give us the curve that will be joining our thigh line to the length line. So to get that clear, we'll be using a straight line to join all those broken lines. So we'll be using a straight line to join all those broken lines, just to make it clear, because we'll be cutting only what was made by a straight line, not the broken lines. So we'll be folding and we'll be marking at the point where that folded edge touches the line, and we'll be using a straight line to join that point. I'll do that for the other part too. So we succeeded in getting our front piece. The only thing remaining is just to make the waistline a straight line, and that's that. So that's the frontal distance from your waist to underneath of your crotch. The front distance from your waist to underneath of your crotch. So, but for your back, since you have a bum, the distance from your waist to underneath of your crotch from the front part cannot be the same. So we've added 1 inch, and we'll be joining that 1 inch to the short length measurement with a broken line. So I'll be using a straight line. So that is where your back piece will start from. Now, for the waist part, you'll just be adding 1 inch and 1/2 inch to the initial line. And that 1/2 inch will be using to make a parallel line to the initial line. That line is where you'll be getting your waist from. So after that, we'll just take 2 inches from the curve line. Let's say our shot was straight, we won't be needing these 2 inches we are taking all through. But since everything was curved, so we'll be taking a 2 inch parallel point to all the curve line, and I'll be joining all the curve line to with my marker. So that is where the back piece will end horizontally. So now for the waist, you just take out the waist, the initial waist of the front piece. Now whatever you get, you just add 2 inches to it. So whatever you get, you just add 2 inches to it. So after adding 2 inches to it, you now take it from the new initial waist point of the back piece to that parallel line you made, that 1/2 inch parallel line, and wherever that measurement touches that line is where the waist of your back piece will end. Then you just join that point now to the hip. So we succeeded in creating the waist of our back, and we succeeded in getting the hip of the back piece too. So I'll just be joining that point with a straight line. So that is the waist of the back. So we're joining that line too. So after doing that, we'll just be folding like we did for the front piece, so that when we bend it, one part will not be shorter than the other part. And we'll be joining also with a straight line. So as you can see, I use this paper for both the front and the back piece. So in cutting out our fabric, we'll first of all cut the back piece, because the back piece is actually bigger. So after cutting the back piece, we'll use that back piece to cut out our fabric before we now reduce this paper we use for drafting to the front piece and use it to cut out the front piece. So as you can see, we've used that to cut out the back fabric. Now we'll be reducing to the front, to exactly what we got first, and that is the front piece. So I used one paper for both the front and the back piece. So after doing this also, we'll use it to cut out the fabric of the front piece.